Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we continue the collab with Kuro of What If the Good Saiyans Won the Civil War, and I hope you guys enjoy. If you missed the last part, go check it out on his channel. The link will be in the description so you will not be confused. Before we get started, I hope you subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon to be informed of any future what ifs. If we hit the like goal of 40 likes, Kuro will make the next part. And if you have any what if suggestions for me, write down in the comment, and if I see enough interest, I'll do it. Now, let's continue this story. Metal Cooler has revealed himself to his brother. Frieza takes a second to look at his brother, and after some time, he does realize that this is actually Cooler, his brother, but he looks completely different from the last time he saw him. Cooler excuses himself and says that some changes have happened since the last time they met. He says that after he tried to destroy the monkeys himself, he was flown to the sun, but he barely survived, with only a couple of his body parts remaining in the vacuum of space. But a machine called a Bucchigiri star merged with him. With its help, his body was reconstructed. What Frieza does not know is that Cooler is kinda lying. This is only a replica. The real Cooler is inside that metal plant that he can see. Frieza doesn't get the full idea, but he just gets with it. But he asked Cooler why is he here, and he says that all of this time he has been traveling the universe, gathering data and power to get his eventual revenge over those monkeys. But he knows that he's still too weak, and probably the monkeys have grown even more powerful. So he has a proposition to join forces. Not only he offers Frieza his assistance, but he will give him an army of other clones of himself. Frieza thinks about it. They do have similar goals, so I guess they should put aside their differences and work together for their revenge. So Frieza agrees. But Frieza does say they need to train to make sure they're strong enough to defeat them. Cooler is surprised to hear his brother wants to train, but he's not say that out loud, because even though he can get stronger by training, but from analyzing Frieza during training, he can gain a lot of power. So the two begin training, with at first Cooler being ahead, but due to Frieza's great potential, he quickly catches up, and after only a couple of months, Frieza is able to unlock a new transformation, which he calls his golden form. He specifically put it in golden to certify his dominance over the idiotic Super Saiyans, and Cooler is really interested in this form. After much analyzation, his body is also available to unlock some sort of golden form, but he thinks the golden is a bit too much for his metal body, so he changes it a bit more gray and shiny, and he calls this his new Platinum Cooler. But due to the power being way too much, his entire army can't handle, since the core would just explode. So only about 4 or 3 coolers are able to use the Platinum form without the core blowing up. And now with these new forms, they're pretty confident that now they're ready to get their revenge, and they set their course to Earth. Back at Earth, Gohan continues his training with Raditz, due to him being the strongest fighter besides Broly, but Broly's a bit too busy to train with them. And after a couple of months, Gohan is able to again gain access to the power of Super Saiyan God, and Raditz, even not getting the God form, gets bits of God Ki, which powers up his Super Saiyan 4 transformation. Raymond trains with them sometimes, but she usually focuses on her job, so she is a bit slacking on her training. A similar thing is happening to Gohan after Pan was born. Now he's more focused on family time, but of course Raz does not mind, and he's happy to see the little girl. But kids do come try occasionally to train with Raditz, and Raditz allows them, believing in the next generation. And he goes easy on them, and making sure they all unlock Super Saiyan 2. But then one day, during training, Raz gets a call from Bulma, and he's informed that Frieza is arriving at Earth in about an hour, and they need to prepare. Raz is surprised, but he says he'll come and also inform Gohan and his wife. He also tells her to inform Broly, because he will also be a good asset. He's about to fly off, but the kids offer to join with him. Raz at first thinks this is too dangerous, but this could also be a good learning experience for the kids, so he allows his kids to go, but he tells the others to stay, since he knows Chi-Chi and Bulma would be mad if he brings all these kids. Bulma, listening to Raditz, contacts Broly and is also informed about Frieza's arrival. Of course he will come, and he does ask 17 to join with them, but 17 says that he'll stay on the island, and he's pretty confident that Broly and his other friends should be able to handle the threat, but he does wish him luck. Broly does understand his reasoning, so he leaves the island. All the humans also come along just in case, and due to so many energy signatures being in one place, at the world of the Kais, Piccolo and Oren can sense the many energies are coming together, so the two decide to check it out, and when they arrive, they see everyone looking like they were ready for combat, and Gohan tells them what is happening, and they understand, and just for reassurance, Piccolo will go to Beerus' planet to get the Saiyan, so he uses the Kai Kai and arrives at Beerus' world, and he's greeted by Whis, who asks Piccolo the reason for his visit. Piccolo explains the situation to Whis, and says that he has came to bring Goku and Vegeta to the fight. The angel allows it, as he calls upon his staff, and out of it drops 5 Saiyans, and Piccolo is only able to recognize the 3, but the other 2 he doesn't recognize. But still, no time for introductions. He informs Goku and Vegeta about what's happening, and all the Saiyans were shocked. The 3 other Saiyans of course knew Frieza, he was the one who destroyed Planet Plant. Of course, Vegeta and Goku will join the fight. They have managed to get perfect control over their Super Saiyan God transformation, and also managed to unlock a form beyond that. So Goku and Vegeta say their goodbye to everyone as Piccolo Kai-Kai's all 3 of them back to Earth, and everyone is a bit more relieved when they see Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo arrive. Now that everyone has arrived, they feel pretty confident, but when they look in the air, they not only see Frieza's ship, but also a big metal moon going down. Then it looks like the moon attached itself to the planet. They don't really have time to process this because Frieza's ship lands in front of them, and out of it Frieza steps out, and Cooler flies beside him, and they're all shocked to see that it's Cooler is with him, but he looks completely different. Cooler informs that not only his looks are different, but his power is nothing compared to what it was last time, and they're ready to get their sweet revenge. And his machine is about to absorb the entire planet. They're a bit weirded out, but they say they won't let that happen, and Frieza says to go on and try. He transforms into his final form and rushes in. He has the biggest grudge against Goku, so he attacks Goku first, and the two begin to fight, and Cooler rushes Vegeta, as he's shocked to see how powerful Cooler has gotten, and he powers up a bit more, and now they're fighting on even footing. The others just watch, but Cooler says don't worry, they'll have some fun too, and his eyes glow, as out of that weird moon came out more metal Coolers. They had no time to process it because the army rushed at the Z Fighters, and everyone powers up to their maximum and rushes in at the army. Back to the fight against Goku and Frieza. At first, the fight seems pretty even, but the tides change when Frieza uses his newfound golden form, and Goku is quickly pushed into Super Saiyan Blue, but due to Frieza getting his golden form earlier, and Goku only recently getting his blue form, he's on the losing side, even with the extra training with more Saiyans. So he gets beaten down badly by Frieza, and when Frieza is ready to kill him, he gets kicked away by someone, and when Frieza looks back, he's shocked to see it was Oren who kicked him. He never thought Oren of all people could do so much damage. Oren tells Goku that he wants to finish this one. He can see that Goku's getting a bit tired, so he also gives him a spare sensu beam. He tells Goku to go handle the Metal Cooler army because he has a bit of business with Frieza. Killing him could be good enough redemption for him for his time in the Frieza Force. Goku understands his business with Frieza, so he eats the sensu and goes fight the Metal Coolers. The two stare each other down. Frieza maniacally laughs. Does he really think that he can handle him? The last time he met him, he couldn't even defeat his first form, and now he really thinks he can defeat the mighty Golden Frieza. Oren smirks and begins to power up. A white aura surrounds him as his power explodes. He has entered his new mystic form thanks to the help of the Elder Kai that was freed from the Z-Sword. Frieza is shocked. How could Oren have this much power? But Oren isn't done yet as he shouts Kaioken times 10, and a red aura surrounds him this time. And he rushes at Frieza at full force, and Frieza, caught by surprise, gets punched in the face. That was the hardest punch he ever felt in his life, as the two begin fighting, but it is not contest. Oren is better than Frieza in everything. His abilities, his power, his technique, everything. Frieza is completely flabbergasted. How did Oren get this strong, even surpassing his golden form? No, this is impossible. Oren begins to feel a bit too cocky. He waited all that time training, and for what? Just to come to die? He's about to get his revenge for the Tuffles and all the people he has killed. Frieza is furious. No, he can't go down like this. But then he sees someone in the fight. He sees Raymond, who's struggling a bit against the metal coolers, but handling them thanks to the help of Raditz. When he realized that was Oren's sister, he smirks. He may lose, but he's not going down alone. He was able to fire a surprise death beam, which briefly stuns Oren, and he's able to fly straight towards Raymond, and Oren tries to catch up, realizes what he was about to do, but it was too late, as Frieza grabs her by the neck, aiming a death beam. Do anything, and he will lose his dear sister. Oren does power down and says Frieza to calm down and let her go. She has nothing to do with the situation. Frieza just maniacally laughs. He enjoys the fear in Oren's eyes. He says that he may die, but he's not going down alone, and with no mercy, shoots the death beam right at Raymond's head. Frieza lets go of her body as she falls to the ground, lifeless. Oren and Raditz are in shock, and the kids scream out in fear. Frieza laughs maniacally as he pulls the boy to the air. Oren and Raditz scream, telling Frieza not to do it, but he squeezes his hand as Nankastu explodes. Raditz is dumbstruck. His wife, his son, just died. He snaps. As his power explodes, he screams the loudest he has ever screamed. The earth begins to shake. All the Z-Fighters and Coolers stop fighting to see what is happening. Raditz transforms back to his Super Saiyan 4 form. Electricity begins surrounding him as his yellow aura turns into a more purplish one, and a huge explosion occurs, which pushes everyone back. And Frieza, looking back, seeing Raditz, but he looks completely different. He's back in that monkey form, but he's become more muscular, his eyes in intense rage, his hair more spiky, and he's surrounded by a red glow. Raditz has transformed into Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker due to the loss of his wife and son. As his god, he exploded, while in his Super Saiyan 4 transformation, combining the energy into a different transformation. At blinding speed, Raditz blitzed through Frieza as he grabs his daughter and flies out of the area, and no one even sees him. He comes back to Capsule Corp and lets his daughter there, telling her to stay here. Lucky is a bit scared of her father. He's never seen her father this angry, but before she can say anything, he flies off back to the battlefield. But no one even realized that he flew off. He was like a blur. But when he came back to the battlefield, he punched Frieza right in the gut as he spits out blood. That punch felt like a truck. Oren, finally getting his composure back, decides not to hold anything back. He comes back to his ultimate state and shouts Kaioken 200, and the two begin fighting Frieza. And this is not even a battle, since they're just throwing Frieza around like a ragdoll. And eventually, after losing too much stamina, Frieza loses his golden form. But they do not stop and keep beating on him over and over. Some cooler clones try to go help Frieza, but the Z-Fighters stop them. Frieza is on his last leg, and the two look down at Frieza, disgusted and angered. Frieza is waiting for them to kill him, and tells them to do it. He does not even have enough energy to stand. Raditz stomps on his tail and begins crushing him, and it says even though he would love to kill him, he has a better idea. He has a thing that may be even worse than death for him, as he rips his tail right off, and Frieza writhes in pain and asks him what was that for. But Raditz doesn't say anything. But then Frieza begins feeling weird, like something is inside him, and he screams, feeling his body somehow rejecting his own commands. What's happening? And after a couple of minutes, he passes out, and then immediately wakes up and gets a disturbing smile. Raditz lets go of the tail, as Frieza stands back up, saying that thank you for allowing him to take over this body. And from what we can hear for his voice, it was not Frieza, it was Baby, who has successfully managed to possess Frieza's body. And Oren were a bit skeptical about this, since now every time they look at him, they will remember this moment. But this was for the sake of the Earth. So they gave permission to Baby to possess Frieza's body. They give him a senzu bean so he can heal the tail. He eats it, and now he's fully recovered. He tries to access more of Frieza's power, and he's able to unlock the golden form. But he is having a hard time to maintain it. They tell Baby that he's gonna need to use it because the threat is not over. Cooler is still here. To Cooler and Vegeta, Vegeta surprisingly was quickly pushed into his Super Saiyan form to even keep up with Cooler's base form, but he can tell that he's still holding back something, and from what he saw from Frieza getting a new transformation, Cooler must have something similar. He tells Cooler just to show him and not to hold back anymore, and Cooler agrees and transforms into his new Platinum form. And Vegeta does comment that this form doesn't seem as strong as Frieza's golden form, but he quickly gets punched in the face from that comment, and he quickly transforms to Super Saiyan Blue and rushes him back. And the fight is pretty even, but even though Platinum Cooler is a bit weaker than Golden Frieza, due to him being fully mechanical, he doesn't experience any stamina issues with his Platinum form, and Vegeta still does not have perfect control over Blue, so he's getting on the losing side. But Broly comes in and quickly saves Vegeta from getting a worse beatdown, and he begins to fight, using more and more of his power, and destroys the Cooler pretty easily. He picks Vegeta up, and they're worrying if it's over, but they're far from the truth because more Metal Cooler began showing up. They're surprised by the sheer amount of them, and some of them have transformed into Platinum Cooler, and the stronger fighters decide to aim on those because they're more powerful. Yamcha and Tien decide to fuse to help, and fuses into Tiencha, and with this power combined, they're able to beat some of the clones. But Krillin is having the hardest time. He's barely able to stop one, and most of them, when rush in, he's practically worthless, and one of the Coolers grab him by the neck, and he's grabbed by some wires, and before he can scream, he's pulled into the big Gete star, but no one doesn't even realize that he has gone. They keep on fighting for hours, and they're beginning to tire out, everyone wondering how will they be able to defeat him. He seems basically immortal. If to kill one, 3 more will just show up, stronger than the last. But Oren gets an idea. It's probably that weird moon. These Coolers are not really real, they're just robots. And there must be a core of some sort inside that moon. So if they destroy that thing, that should destroy all these robots. So someone needs to travel inside that moon and destroy it from the inside. And Gohan and Vegeta decide to go there because they're more than strong enough to deal with any Platinum Coolers. Broly would like to go, but he knows that he's pretty important on the ground, so Vegeta and Gohan begin flying up towards the big Gete star, while the rest are handling the Coolers, making sure that the two aren't being followed. They're able to go inside and begin wandering around, trying to find a core or something that will be able to shut this machine down. They do get jumped by some Metal Coolers, but they are easily able to handle them, and they do eventually find the center. They look around and see in their left, Krillin, all covered in wires. He doesn't seem to be alive. Gohan goes to check on him, but when he's near him, the wires begin attacking him. He blasts them all away, so not to be touched, but more and more wires begin showing up, and the two try to blast them off, but there are way too many, and they're eventually incapacitated by the wires, and they can feel their power being absorbed. Then they hear a sinister laugh coming from somewhere. It sounds familiar. They look to the left, and they see Cooler, not Metal Cooler, but they see an actual body part of Cooler's remains. He welcomes the two Saiyans to the big Gete star and thanks them for coming to him. It makes it easier effort to capture them, and now he will absorb all their power to make the big Gete star even more powerful. He begins draining all of their energy, but after some time they feel that Cooler stopped absorbing their energy. And they realize that Cooler can't really absorb all their power at the same time because it is too much. So Vegeta has an idea and says to Gohan to power up as much as he can. Gohan thinks he's crazy, they'll just give Cooler more power, but Vegeta says they have no other option as he powers up again to Super Saiyan Blue, which begins to overload the core. Gohan, seeing that it is working, begins unleashing his all too. He powers up to Super Saiyan God, and with him unleashing all of his power and hidden potential, he's even able to briefly access Super Saiyan Blue, and with the two Super Saiyan Blues pumping him with so much energy, and especially divine energy, which is not familiar for the big Gete star, the core begins to overload, and the big Gete star starts to crumble. They're able to free themselves from the vines, and Gohan frees Krillin, who he can sense is still alive, but barely. Cooler curses the Saiyans and begins attacking them, but the two Saiyans fire their most powerful attacks at the thing, which completely destroys Cooler for good. They take Krillin's body and fly out the big Gete star, and back to the ground. They are sometimes stopped by some metal coolers, but some of them just began to explode, which means it is working. Everyone on the ground also realizes that, and when they look at the sky, they see the moon-shaped planet explode. And they also see not too far from it, Gohan and Vegeta coming to them, and they're holding Krillin's body, and the humans realize they didn't even think about Krillin, and didn't even see him disappear. Krillin is now on the brink of death, but Piccolo, thanks to his training with the Kais, has the ability to heal, so he heals Krillin back to full power. Krillin wakes up, and he barely remembers anything. The last thing he remembered is Cooler grabbing him by the neck, but everything went dark after that. Everyone begins to relax. Raditz is still saddened by the death of his wife and son, but Oren puts a hand on his shoulder and says he misses them too. But he doesn't need to worry, because they can use the Dragon Balls to bring them back. But Raditz tells due to the Dragon Balls already being used recently, it will take a long time for them to regenerate. But Piccolo steps in and said they can use the Namekian Dragon Balls to bring them back, and Raditz likes that idea. He tells everyone that he's going to plan Namek with Piccolo to revive his wife and son, and tells that he'll come back real quick. And so Piccolo and Raditz Kai to planet Namek and use their Dragon Balls to revive everyone who has been killed by Cooler and Frieza in the past couple of months. And so everything comes back to normal. When they're back at Earth, Raditz is happy to see his wife and son back to life, and Raymond is a bit freaked out of dying, and also sad to hear that her son died too, but due to this experience, this motivated her to come back to training, and Raditz will help her with that, because he also wants to discover more about this new transformation he unlocked. Goku and Vegeta eventually return to Beerus' world and tell the three Saiyans all about what happened. They're all now very motivated to break their limits and eventually surpass Frieza's new transformation. They all have unlocked the Super Saiyan Blue transformation, now they just need to get better control over it. Well, everyone has it besides Yamoshi, since he wants to take a different path to power, which he can't really explain right now. So they all resume their training, and after a couple of more months, a couple of unexpected visitors arrive at Beerus' world. But that's where we leave off this part of What If the Good Saiyans Won the Civil War. As always, if you have any what if suggestion for me, write down in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, and if this video reaches 40 likes, Kuro will make the next part, and I'll see you guys in my next video.